And everything is moving to apps. All of us are using a lot of devices where apps are there. Now, again, the GIS as a platform has evolved where there are a lot of abilities or a lot of capabilities to take the GIS applications onto devices, onto handheld devices, or improving the mobility of people, whether they are surveyors in for example, a forest area. Like we are talking to one of the state governments where the surveyor will go with a mobile device and capture the data, and then when the connectivity is there, the data is uploaded onto the server. And so the ability to have the GIS capability on various devices is again something which has evolved with the platform. And of course, the mapping has become much smarter. The mapping has also evolved. The 3D visualization and the more insights which are coming out from these maps is something which has drastically evolved over a period of time. So effectively, what I'm trying to say here is that GIS has evolved as a complete platform which helps you capture the data, or rather, ingest the data which is being captured from various sources, helps you visualize the data. You do a lot of modeling. Mr. Rajiv Mohan was talking about a lot of models like the flood model or river basin models, etc. Those kind of models which the platform enables you to have those models built and do a lot of simulation and analysis on that model. And then of course, you design the rest of the system and implement it, and then carry out corrective action. So net of it, the entire MIS system which we used to have is is taking the benefit of the location and the GIS now, and helping you make more important or smarter decisions, and end to end, right from the data which is captured right up to the decisions which are taken. Some of you are familiar with this, but this is the platform which is the GIS platform, which for us has evolved over last about 20 years or so. And this is the platform, as I was talking about earlier. It has evolved from a standalone server to a distributed architecture, which is open now, which is readily deployable as a WebGIS architecture, and is based on standards where it allows for integration to a lot of standard-based systems across, whether it's to do with surveys, whether it's various applications, and that's really speaking the power which a lot of customers and organizations are using today. The ArcGIS platform has also evolved real time. There is a component called GeoAnalytics server, which really speaking can become your IoT platform, capture data from a lot of sensors, and then integrate it in the rest of the GIS platform. So it has evolved. It has evolved from a big data. There's something which is called GeoAnalytics. Sorry, the earlier was Geo Event Processing, and the big data is GeoAnalytics server, and that also has the ability to take large volumes of data and then throw up analytics based on including the GIS analytics as a part of the platform. So this evolution also has has moved with the times, with the rest of the industry, whether it is the GIS industry or the rest of the information technology industry. One of the debates which is a consistent debate is whether an open platform or a open source or a proprietary, and our obvious stand is that it has to be a technology which has a robust commercial engine, if I can call it, behind it, but then it has to be based on open standards. It has to be based on standards which are acceptable in the industry, and are standards which really speaking allow free and ready integration. So to that extent, we as Esri are one of the largest contributors to OGC, and we adhere to all the standards which are there. With the result, we have a large ecosystem around us, and which are readily integratable to the platform. I'll spend about 5-7 minutes on some of the implementations which are there. They may not be named implementations, but some of the implementations which are across the globe, and some of the implementations which we've done in India. And this is really speaking to give you some ideas of all the things that have been done, and some of the examples of where our GIS technology has been implemented. This is a pretty standard one, as all of us understand. How is it that GIS is implemented in the entire aspect of land information and having information on land parcels? Nikhil also spoke about this in his presentation, and that's an implementation which has happened, which probably that was the initiation of how GIS got implemented in a large way in a lot of countries, and including India. And there are some success stories around the land tax management and the property tax management also in India and outside India, where this has been implemented, and the return of interest, the return of investment is pretty high and very quick when you implement GIS in this area. Urban design and planning is something which we all pretty much understand, whether it's smart cities or whether it is other kinds of urban design development. That's something which all is a standard implementation of GIS which has been there all across. Again, 3D buildings, and there's a lot of advancement which has happened in the 3D space. With the result, the modelings have become much more convenient and easy to implement. There are a lot of environmental modeling which is happening, whether it is oil spill, it is something to do with Mr. Mohan was talking about the sericulture. Similar stuff is happening all across in the country and elsewhere in the world. And natural resource, whether it is whether it's agriculture, it is mining. A lot of implementations in India. We're working with a lot of mining organizations, mining bodies. We're working with a lot of agricultural bodies, with the forest agencies. Transport planning, again, something which is which is being used again probably in this state and elsewhere also. So I'm just trying to give you some of the implementations which are happening all across, so that in case it takes up any interest, then we can have a separate discussion around these. Utilities and telecommunication, whether it is to do with asset management of for example, a water utility or an electric utility. It is a lot of telecom companies are now utilizing GIS. So, for example, Airtel, if you see the open network, the entire implementation was done on our GIS. Where is it that the next tower should be placed? What is the coverage area? What is the demographics of people living in that area? Where is the comparative network of the comparative tower which has been placed? So all those decisions are taken by whether it's Airtel or it's RGO, for example. They also planned out the entire thing using this technology. So there's a lot of renewed or a fresh interest which is coming up in utilities and telecommunication companies. As I said, a lot of non-government applications are also happening. So there are, for example, some insurance companies which are now using GIS to map where is the insurer coming from, and what is the demographics of that area, what is the likely default in the premium payment. Accordingly, they decide on the premium for a certain area, and they cut down on the underwriting timelines for that. So new and crop insurance is picking GIS in a big way across the world, and also we're talking to organizations like Tokyo, where they're taking GIS for crop insurance. So you basically assess what is the likely yield, what is the weather pattern likely to be, and accordingly decide the way you would like to do the insurance for the crop for the next season. This is something which not happening to as large an extent in India, but I'm sure this will really become things around public health and the demographics and organizations like Map My India are playing an important role in that, because we need a lot of data around demographics for this. Public safety and security, whether it's police, it's crime, this is being used, GIS is being used pretty effectively in CCTNS projects, for example. Disasters, whether it's disaster planning or disaster mitigation or responding to a disaster. Again, we're working with a lot of organizations like, for example, Kerala State Natural Disaster Monitoring, Kerala State Disaster, Karnataka State Natural Disaster. And the whole idea is to understand where are your various resources present and how do you respond at the time when the disaster actually strikes. So a pretty important area when it comes to disaster-prone areas, and we're working with a lot of agencies and a lot of states on that. These are some of the implementations which are there in India. Not very visible, but I'll just tell you in brief. So, there are states like, for example, Rajasthan, who have implemented state GIS. So they've standardized on a GIS platform, and everything to do with GIS in the state happens around that platform now. So all departments have a GIS standard. Nikhil was talking about standardization. So Rajasthan is one of the states where they've picked up the entire, they've taken the aspect of standardization pretty seriously, and all GIS is really speaking based on one single platform now. There are a lot of smart cities. We are currently working with 17 smart cities across the country for GIS implementation. And there are various stages of implementation of GIS, right from a basic citizen portal to getting more and more applications, which will be useful for the citizens. And of course, then a lot of them are expanding into the integrated command and control now. But then the work started about 2 years back in 17 of them from a GIS perspective, and we're working pretty closely with them. Of course, we've done a lot of work with municipalities. We've done a lot of work with municipalities. For example, municipal NCGM in Mumbai, and where the entire if you submit a plan, the entire plan approval process goes through a workflow, which is a GIS-based workflow. We're working with a lot of power distribution companies. Most of the APDRP or the forthcoming IPDS projects. Again, the work is on with various power distribution companies. There is disaster management I spoke about, working with most of the state remote sensing agencies, forest departments, all the mapping agencies. A lot of work is being done with Survey of India, and we're currently working with them on working out the future plans around the digital elevation module which they are planning right now. Work is on with a lot of oil and petrochemical companies, and Airport Authority, for example, has implemented a solution where in case you're coming up with a building anywhere close to the airport, and you have to take an approval from the Airport Authority. All you have to do is now